you look around and you ask yourself, why not us? Now, that may be presumptuous as hell. We come in here on a Monday after having the week off. We've played one good team. The other was a high school. And
we question whether they were a good team after we beat them. That's how much the beating was handed down from us to them.
No, we deserve our kudos for that. We deserve the credit for dominating the line of scrimmage, being well prepared. They were coached up. They were physical. They were smart. They were tough. They were intense. They were focused, and they dominated the game, and they get all the credit in the world. Florida State does, and I wouldn't strip that from our Noles at all, but I would say that we've only played 2 games, very small amount of data, really only one real game. And so it is presumptuous. If I were a fan of another team listening to this, I'd be like, really? You're going to ask yourself, why not us after your one win, your one significant win? And it's kind of less about us, although it certainly matters that we looked the way that we did, and more about what appears to be an awful lot of volatility and parity in the sport of college football. We argue it every year at any time there's a stretch of 2 or 3 weeks where we get sort of some odd results or a team that we thought was great doesn't look great. But, you come back around to it and you say, no, honestly, we've spoken about the volatility of the transfer era. People call it the NIL era. I call it the transfer era. The transfer era is really the big difference maker here right now, not the NIL. It matters, the NIL. But the fact that people come and go on a whim and can every year means that the volatility in the sport has never been greater. And it means that you're not always certain, especially those who traffic in the portal, especially as much as we do, what a team is or isn't. A lot of people were certain before this year began that Clemson was a juggernaut waiting to compete for the national title. They have 2 losses. The better team was Georgia Tech this past Saturday. Their offense is sputtering despite an offensive line that everybody assumed would dominate. They have good receivers. I'm not sure that the head coach likes the quarterback. I don't get a sense that he does. He rolls him any chance that he gets. And when you undermine the quarterback, what's that do to the locker room? So they are fits and stops and starts on offense, occasionally brilliant, occasionally awful, and oftentimes mediocre. They're a team with a lot of really good players that are going to get drafted, but we've all learned now in this era, just because you have a lot of good players doesn't mean you play well. So Clemson right now doesn't look the part. LSU's got 2 significant wins. I'm not sure that they're the best team in the SEC. How could we say that? They have the 2 best wins in the SEC, but we don't know what they are. Is Texas any good? Arch Manning doesn't appear to be. Not early, anyhow. Is Oklahoma the best team in the SEC? I don't know.
Could you argue that Notre Dame played 2 really good teams? That preseason ranking-wise, they weren't in the top 5, but maybe Texas A&M is really good.
Right, and now Notre Dame is up against it. Because if you look at their remaining schedule, they don't have a chance to get a significantly good win. We'll see what Southern Cal goes on to be. They're 25th in the country currently. It's too early to really recognize what Southern Cal is. They are ranked, so we'll see at the time that they play that game. They've got a game against NC State, who I understand is 3-0. Go back, look at those games. That's an iffy 3-0 at best. They've got a game against Syracuse. That's not a good Syracuse team. They don't really – the Arkansas game, I mean, they need Arkansas to go on and have a good year. We'll see. Arkansas was that close. I thought they were live for an upset against Ole Miss. They were right there in that game. It's the point is that we don't have great certainty about much right now in the sport. So when I come back to why not us, it's less about, at least for now, the overall prowess of Florida State, which I think they're a good team. But more about, I don't see anybody out there, certainly not 12 other teams, that could absolutely exclude us from being part of the playoff picture. I think that you're going to get an opportunity, and we're all going to feel it. It's going to be incredible, and I'm trying like hell not to get out in front of this too much because you do have the road game, and you don't know how kids are going to respond on the road. Florida State's a better team talent-wise than Virginia. But it doesn't mean you'll go win that game on a sleepy Friday night. I don't know that Charlottesville is going to be buzzing. It'll be a sold-out stadium because Florida State's coming to town. But it's a game that Florida State should take care of business. They've got better players. They ought to win that game. We'll see how they respond. But I've wanted things more than I want that, but it's been a minute because a win in that game means Miami, Florida State, and Tallahassee is the epicenter of college football that weekend. And it means that for the younger members of our audience who don't know what it is to walk into Doak Campbell Stadium, Bobby Bowden Field, and to feel the hatred running through your veins and the intensity and the energy and the focus and the anticipation of a matchup between two teams like Florida State and Miami with so much on the line, one of the greatest rivalries in the history of the sport comes to life on that Saturday. And you will walk into the stadium and you will feel that. And you will feel that on a Friday in this town. You'll feel it when you wake up Friday morning. You'll have trouble sleeping on a Thursday night, anticipating the weekend that's coming, knowing that Friday is one day away from the matchup of which I speak. And you will walk around this city, and it will be tough for you not to put a drink in your hand at noon.
Yeah, frankly, in the last 25 years, there's only been 2 or 3 occasions that would even be in the ballpark of what this would feel like.
Yeah.
And most of those times, it was because it was the first game of the year, and you didn't know what you had. So therefore, preseason rankings carried the day. 2005 season opener on a Monday night, the Miami Muff game. That was one for sure. 2009, I think so. Also a Monday night Labor Day weekend game. That's the Jarman Fortson drop in the end zone. That felt very important. This town, I remember, that was my final semester here at Florida State. This town was a problem that weekend for the Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. It was nuts. And then 13, it was a paper tiger matchup for Miami because they had just escaped beating Wake the week before, but they were number 10. It might have even been up to number 9. We were number 1 in the country. Game day was here. It was a night kick. It was a Saturday night. And we knew we were going to win that game, but it still had a lot of extra juice. Other than that, in the last quarter century, you really haven't had Miami at Florida State. Maybe 03? Maybe. I think that was the game in the rain with Roscoe Parrish.
What a hit.
It hasn't been that in a long time. Not here. We played a couple games down there that felt very important.
Very big. Yeah. I was at one
here?
of them. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, we can always focus on that another time, but I can begin the initial spark for that hit me again over the weekend. Now, hey, listen, Miami still got to take care of business. They certainly did Saturday against USF, and that game was never close. They dominated that game.
If Florida was invested, which I don't know, this is a chin check game for their morale at Florida for this game. But that defensive front against Miami would be a good matchup if Florida, wasn't crashing into the side of a mountain. But I don't know if they're going to care.
Oh, I think they'll care. They stayed invested all of last year and got off to an awful start. They got boat raced by Miami last year in Gainesville. Billy was already under the gun going into the season, and they remained strident. They kept fighting. It's how he kept his job. They found a way to win some games that they were underdogs in. They certainly fought like hell on the heels of losing to USF. If their quarterback doesn't throw 5 picks, they beat LSU. Their defense was very, very good.
It was. I'm just saying that they also have a lot of that false bravado energy.
They're undisciplined.
The composure penalties. Like that team last year, watching them, I didn't feel like that personality was in line with that. And I just wonder how many losses can a locker room take and a culture of a program take?
Well, hopefully 7 or 8 more.
Well, before it breaks. I think it would break prior to the 7 or 8 more. Before they put out an effort on the field, you go, oh, like we saw many times last year, including down in Miami, where you go, oh, well, they were there for a drive. They wanted to show up for the first drive, and then they were done, and they felt like that was enough.
Well, we'll see. I can't worry myself about them now. We'll know. We'll find out. I'm anxious to play football again Saturday. Even though I know the result, I just want to see that intensity because I love it every time it's on display. I'm anxious to continue to gauge and get the temperature of college football all around the land as I did this past Saturday. There were a lot of questions, probably more questions than answers that were presented Saturday. And that's fun for me because I think we probably have a very good football team. I think we do. How good? That we got to play more competition, better competition, and more games. I mean, you have 2 games under your belt, only one really that counts.
Well, what's funny is when the rankings come out yesterday and you see Florida State at number 7, you're like, yeah, seems about right. Like, How crazy is it that a few weeks into the season you could say that we're number 7 before the Alabama game, that we would be in that position to go, it seems about right. We should be ranked around 7th. It's top 10 for sure. That's insane, and it's awesome.
The other game to play is compare yourself to there's 39 unbeaten teams in college football. Compare and contrast yourself with the 39 teams that are unbeaten in college football and ask yourself where you think you are. Are you better than 3-0 Southern Cal? How much Southern Cal football have you watched before you answer? Are you better than 3-0 Texas Tech? Are you better than 3-0 Illinois? Are you better than 3-0 Indiana? Are you better than 3-0 Utah? I don't know. That one I don't know. Are you better than 4-0 Iowa State, who looked terrible on Saturday? 4-0. Now their win over Kansas State doesn't look all that good now, does it? Kansas State can't win a game.
Honestly, it didn't feel very impressive in the moment. It just felt entertaining. That quarterback, oh my God.
Yeah, there's some. That's why the family was fighting.
That's right. You're breaking up your family, kid. You're not just breaking up this program.